Daytime with Aston Avery. Now, our next guest on the show is a favourite of ours and Gateway. She's no stranger to Gateway 97.8 and also fighting battles herself. But there's something that both of us have in common. Well, the connection is there's a quiz show on BBC called Pointless, which we've both been on. So, India, hello.
Oh, it's so nice to be back, Aston and Stephen. It's so great of you to ask me on.
How gorgeous you're looking. The hair looks terrific.
Well, thank you very much. It just shows you how long it's been, really, doesn't it? When you think, I had a bob last time. Yeah. Now it's down past my shoulders.
Looks really nice.
One factor here's at India here. Obviously, I mentioned right at the beginning there, we had a connection, which is both being on the TV show Pointless there. So when you was on it, how was it for you?
Do you know what? I'm a massive Chase fan. So I felt a bit treacherous going on Pointless, but they asked, the Chase didn't. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I think that the Pointless show is really good. It's a shame Richard Osman, he's not there anymore, is he? He's gone off because he's doing all his books and earning an actual King's ransom, a fortune. I think he sold the rights to all of his books to Steven Spielberg.
Oh,
so he's going to be a zillionaire now. But yeah, I really enjoyed Pointless, and I was the first contestant up, and I was asked the first question of the show that I was on, and I got a pointless answer, which is incredible. How did you do, Aston?
Wow, that's putting me on the spot. First episode, because obviously I was on it up to 3 times. Obviously, the first episode didn't go great, but the second episode we ended up winning. So on that second episode,
I understand this Pointless thing. How you get
exactly, because the actual final bit, you have to get a pointless answer, of course. Anyway, to win to win whatever money's on offer.
I'm with India. I like the chase. I sit there jumping up and down, screaming the questions.
I love the Chase so much. That is the show that I want to do, probably more than any, even above all the reality stuff, Strictly and what have you. I love Bradley Walsh.
But another one thing as well here at India, you was in Celebrity Big Brother one year, but they're bringing that back. Would you ever go back in again?
I'd love to go back in. I feel like I've got unfinished business.
Yeah.
I was great entertainment. They had the biggest ratings on my season when I was in, and as soon as I came out, the ratings went through the floor. So they should get me back in. I bet, especially with trans being such a hot topic, it would be so lively.
And I think they should get you back in because you weren't in long enough, and I don't think all the questions were answered, and I think also with the editing and either that I really would like you to be on Strictly. I think it'd be great. I mean, it would be really good.
Yeah, I would obviously love to do Strictly as well, but I think I'm just going to be honest. I think the BBC are actually quite nervous about going there with the trans subject. If you look around all the channels, all the output that they have, more than anyone else, and they have no trans representation whatsoever. Right. I still think for them, trans is probably like to them what gay would have been in the 1960s or 70s. I don't think they feel, which is crazy, it's acceptable, like family entertainment.
India, I think we should correct it there, that they know of. Famous trans out there that don't let on trans.
That's true.
You have to look as well, because Dancing and Ice have gone down that route, and they this time round with drag acts, and they this time I've noticed.
Trans is different from drag.
Yeah,
so, it's completely different. And it's got to be recognised that drag over here is a theatrical thing, and trans is a
of course.
Trans is completely different from drag. But I think for a lot of people in TV, what you're saying there is, Stephen, is bang on. It's I think there are still people in TV who think they are one and the same thing, and they think that by having a drag queen on, they're ticking the trans box, and it's completely different. It's
Yeah.
drag is entertainment. It's somebody putting on a show. This is who
Yeah.
we are. It's not pretend.
There's a
It's like
difference
it's who we
between
are.
transvestite and drag as well, because a
Yeah.
transvestite woman may not want to go into being a
Mm.
full-fledged woman, but will live as a woman, dressed as a woman, which is difficult from a drag act as well, because that's
Yeah.
often the drag act walks around dressed, you would never recognize them. Rose Garden, a very famous drag queen, if you met her in the street, you'd never recognize her in a million years. Completely.
That's right.
So,
That's a theatrical experience.
so India, you're a newsreader here. So how did you become a newsreader?
Oh my God. How did I become a newsreader? Well, it was actually because when I left school at 16. If it had been Victorian times, I'd have been up chimneys, like cleaning them. But thankfully we'd moved on by then. So I left school at 16, and I was good at school, but I just didn't enjoy it. So I had plenty of exams and what have you under my belt, and I had loads of dead-end jobs, just working in shops, fashion shops and what have you. Then I got a job on a local paper because I was good at writing, and they asked me to come along. They trained me up. I became a journalist, and they sent me to do this story on a late night radio show host, probably somebody like yourself, Aston, at some point. And he was doing, can you believe this, at midnight on Halloween, a live phone-in with the dead.
What?
He had a medium in his office with him, a spiritualist.
Damn.
And he was contacting, people were ringing in, and he said, who would you like to speak to? And they would say, oh, Marjorie, she passed in 73. And this guy would contact Marjorie. And I kid you not, he was so good. He was so accurate. But anyway, I did a write-up on that, and they loved the write-up. And they said, look, why don't you come into radio? So I went into radio, and then the radio station that I was got bought by ITV, funnily enough. And they gave me a job reading the news. And that's how it happened.
No, that's
wow.
Brilliant. India, what are you doing over Christmas this year?
I haven't really decided. Have you two put much thought into it? I'll probably go to my mum, because then we can all huddle around a 1-bar electric fire and some candles, like most of us will be doing this year. But yeah, do you know what? I love Christmas as well, but I can't see this year being that flush for us, because I'm not a millionaire. I'm probably like, most folk out there this year, and it's just going to be so expensive.
It's going to be difficult, really. You rightly said that, India. And mostly what I'm going to be doing, probably Christmas morning, is spend Christmas morning with me old niece and the nephew now. So
that'll be nice. That'll be lovely.
That's what it's all about. Do you know what I find funny though, guys? Is obviously we're talking about this energy crisis and what have you, but what are all the towns and the cities going to do? Are they still going to have the big Christmas lights?
Apparently so.
Yeah, really. Wow.
Basildon's got one this month anyway. So
across the board. I mean, this is talking of hypocrisy. Look, I follow you on Twitter, and I love what you write, and you're so passionate. But it's been taken over now, and it could possibly become a free-for-all arena. There's pictures already which I found deeply offensive out there. It's a picture of effeminate boys on the catwalk, what could be called effeminate boys. Underneath it says "Fired by Eton, woke go." I mean, that's really kind of worrying. What's your feelings on where Twitter's going to go?
On the way Twitter's going to go, it's going to get worse with Elon. I mean, I got an email today. I don't know if you two are on Twitter. I don't know you are, Stephen.
Yeah, I love it.
And I got an email today saying that they're going to actually trial this experiment. They're talking about the blue tick that anyone...
$8.
I did hear this anyway about the blue tick.
So now, like, Angry George 679 / can have a blue tick just by paying £8 a month. And they get, if you pay your £8, apparently what you tweet actually gets amplified, more than the other ones.
Okay,
So the people paying the £8 a month, they get more reach just by virtue of paying the money. And I think you're going to end up, it's already a bit of a sewer, let's just be honest. I think you're going to get all the crap, sorry if that's allowed, that word, but all the bad stuff really amplified, and it's just going to become worse.
I mean, India, much as you're out there, etc., you get a lot of negative comments as well. And how do you deal with all those comments as it is now?
Yeah, well, it's horrible, but you've just got to get used to it. But I am kind of close to actually giving it. I've got, I think, 55 or 58,000 followers, which obviously it's not Beyonce level, but it's still like a nice bunch of followers. And yeah, but it's just got so nasty that I'm quite close to leaving Twitter anyway. I've often thought about it. Yeah.
I mean, you're a place of reason, so please stay on.
So that being said, India, do you think that there is difference between freedom of speech and even censorship as well? Because that's another factor, not just on social media, but in life.
You know what, Aston? I think freedom of speech is way overrated. And I mean that by, if you go on Twitter or if you go on social media, Facebook, wherever your poison is, you look at all of the accounts that are screaming about free speech. They are all anonymous. Yes. They are all nasty, horrible people. And my point is, if all these horrible, nasty people believe so much that free speech is more important than bread, it's more important than eating. If they really believe that, why are they all anonymous? If you really think it's important to stand up, then you should be visible and stand by what you say. So free speech, it's actually a con, it's a disguise, and it's an excuse used to justify bullying, intimidating. And I know people say your words can't hurt you. Words kill people. You look at what happened to Caroline Flack.
People say sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt you. The scarring of people that have been bullied as young people is incredible. I mean, it's absolutely shocking. So yeah, it is complete worry. But on the brighter side, your skin always looks absolutely amazing. I mean, every time we see you, you look glamorous. Do you have Botox like Aston?
Do you know, well, I used to have Botox quite regularly. I went through a spell of about probably 3 years where I had, an injection every 6 months or so. Yeah. But since the pandemic, I haven't bothered.
Oh, you look great.
Yeah, do you know what it is, Stephen? I know me and you are into this. I don't know about Aston, but I've always loved my skin, actually. But it's starting to sag a bit. I think I want to get some plastic surgery.
No.
I think I would like to go under the knife. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. If you can get it. I don't have the moolah to do it at the moment, but yeah, I think I would just like things tightened up a bit. Who wouldn't?
Now, India, and thank you for that, Stephen. We're going to chat more about love life now, and it's approaching that time of year many people love and cannot wait to get home and celebrate, obviously, as we mentioned on top of Christmas here, dropping the C-bomb once again. But many people are not just amongst minorities are not welcome at home for who they are. So for anyone that's trans who is alone and Christmas is their help, can they get help out there?
Yeah, I think so these days, Aston. It's obviously, if you're trans and you go on social media, you're probably going to get a lot of abuse because that's just how things are at the moment. But there is a great community out there of trans allies and other trans people. And I mean, the point you make is really good, really pertinent. It's a depressing time as it is for people like me in my community, and it's going to become more acutely so. Isn't it weird how we all get more? Everyone thinks of Christmas as a really happy time, but actually, for a lot of people, and it's not just obviously trans, it can be any demographic. For a lot of people, especially if you're on your own or feeling isolated, it's the worst time of the year, because I think we all think of people being in a family setting and they're all having a good time and jolly, and what have you, and you're there on your own. So I think in a way, the social media side, providing you're careful about where you go and who you speak to, it's actually a lifeline. You know, it's keeping you in touch.
No, I'm lucky. I spend Christmas every year practically with my best friend, and we go and have something to eat, and it's a nice time. But for a lot of LGBT, not just LGBT people out there, they're frightened to go home and be themselves.
Yeah,
people that have gone through surgery and so on go home as a new person. They're not accepted. You know, one of my friends said to me, whose son's trans, it's so difficult for her. Because she keeps calling him, and I want to use him, and she keeps saying, no, now I am. And it's so difficult for sometimes families to accept. And I think there has to be a little empathy for understanding, to educate and change. But Christmas time's not always the time to do it, is it?
Yeah, that's right. I think, you know, for mums and dads, if we're talking specifically about trans people here, obviously when you transition, there is a spell, even with, you know, your mum and dad, if they're fully on side and fully supportive, the vocabulary thing, sometimes, you know, they get it wrong in the very early stages, but that's fine. But the difference is, you know, trans people can tell when it's accidental or it's just a slip of the tongue. That's fine. And there's a world of difference between that happening and somebody doing it on a point of principle. You know, I will never accept you. I will call you this, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
What about 2023, India? Has that got anything in store for you in the new year?
No, not at the moment. It's really quiet. You know, this is probably the worst time in history to be trans. You know, the media, if you look across the media, there is literally, unless you're Caitlyn Jenner rather, there's nothing. There's like a trans blacklist going on, but I don't know what we can do about that.
I always want you on for a couple of hours when you come on. So just what's really worrying me at the moment about the trans community is this woman, Posey Parker, who's trying to get herself a name out there and saying that, you know, that trans people are running into the toilets with penises and raping them, and there's just a whole hate campaign, and it's quite frightening, and people are genuinely picking up on it, a bit like, as I said, it's a bit like BC, how Hitler got started.
It is exactly like that.
Idea. I can't find any reports anywhere of any trans people running into the ladies' toilets with penises and raping anyone. There's not a case to be found, but people are believing it. Now, how worrying do you find, Posey?
Well, I don't think we should really be paying her any attention. That would be my thing. I know people are paying her attention because this movement across the whole of social media about hard right wing stuff, you know, the Trump type of people.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
That's extremely popular on social media, and people get swept up into it. Now, Posey Parker, she's actually called something else, Kelly J, multiple names, as I call her, because she's got various names that she goes on. For anyone who doesn't know, if you've heard of Tommy Robinson, obviously he says horrible things regarding race and immigration and what have you. Well, Posey Parker is basically the Tommy Robinson of gender. You know, she's got links with the far right in America. She's got all this money sloshing in, and they're funding her to go around both Britain and the US with a crew of heavies. You know, people are being intimidated. She's setting up with a microphone, doing essentially what you've just said there, Stephen, like the 1930s Germany, standing on the soapbox, whipping up hate, using all these ridiculous...
This is why we're going to have to wind up now, but this is why we still need you on Twitter at all costs, because you are the reason out there. So please stay on. Look, it's been lovely having you on the show.
Okay, it's been great, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much again for your time.
And how can our listeners find you, India, before you go?
Yeah, well, for the time being, at least, you can find me on Twitter. Just look up India Willoughby or Instagram. Send all my love to everybody in Basildon. I love Basildon.
Thank you, India.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
See you now. Bye.
Bye.